Hey guys, StarCraft here, and Happy New Year, or almost New Year. As we're starting to wrap up, sorry, just trying to adjust by, yeah, there we go. As we're going to be wrapping up this last year, good God, can it finally be over? 2020 has been a disaster, and I'll be honest, I don't know what 2021 is going to be. I hope it's going to be better, but racings are going right now. I'm not sure, to be honest. It all depends on a certain election still wraps up. Who knows? But you have to talk about that. Today, I'm going to wrap up things by talking about my... hold on a second. But that the light was acting up a little bit. But I'm going to talk about my top 15 comics this year. Now, here's how I'm going to do it. Because I got so many of them, I'm deciding to clump a few together. So this isn't just going to be favorite individual issues or all that. No, this is going to be in this case either favorite issue, favorite run or story arc, or favorite line. Two cases you'll know why I'm going for that. But here's the thing, they have to either have started or ended during this year. I'm not really sure, and I'm not really going to go with they have to never mind, I'll contradict a few choices. But yeah, they have to either start or end it this year. And there's quite a number of them that actually did end this year. And boy, with the lighting, hold on. There we go, much better. Sorry about that, that lighting was really annoying me. But yeah, so now these are going to be in no particular order. But let's start off with Catwoman number 23 and 24 by Blake Northcott, with some plotting by Sean Gordon Murphy and artwork by, oh, what was his name? Kian Tormey. And these were just fun. This was just Blake Northcott and Sean Gordon Murphy. One, just getting two issues to just have fun. Sean doing the artwork for the covers. And yeah, but what I love best about this is it brought back an obscure character that, unless you've seen Linkara at the top of the first wall, you probably, or you were around in the 80s, remember the New Guardians, you would have no idea about remembering SNOWFLAME! I was shocked that they brought him back, and not only brought him back, but he still gets his powers from cocaine, and we actually do see him do it, yeah, fire of SNOWFLAME! It is just so awesome, and they even ended ambiguous so they can bring him back as opposed to killing him off. This was a nice, fun story. It was great to see Selena back in her in the anime series outfit, even if it's just for one time. And you can so tell that Blake really had a good handle. It's such a shame that she's basically stated she's going to be stepping away from doing comic book and going to focus on screenwriting and novels. But wish you the best of luck, Blake. Next, it's Green Lantern Earth 1, Volume 2. Continuing up of where Volume 1 went, we see Hal with the Green Lantern Corps. But during this, we start to also get a rival corps with the Yellow Lanterns, who they start showing up, and they're working with the Last Guardian, who they just call him the Last Guardian. But it's pretty much not Gansett, I'm blanking on his name right now. I'll put it in the description, but one of the other evil guardians. But yeah, by all of this though, they're trying to deal with it. It's basically the Sinestro Corps, and yeah, you bring in John Stewart. Sinestro actually gets a big role, things like that, and yeah, you basically have it's a bit of a civil war going on, and by the end, Hal seems to sacrifice himself, leading for this trilogy in the third book, whenever that is. I know they've been doing these own trilogies, even though these are supposed to be ongoing books. They just go for trilogies lately. Next, this is a line. Tales of the Dark Multiverse. Now, I'm including the ones from last year, but this recent batch here, and they've been so good, just really good. I mean, Batman Hush, done by Philip Kennedy Johnson, who's going to be taking over for Superman, very well done. Basically, what if Tommy Elliott took over and instead of being Batman per se, Bruce becomes Hush? You have Dark Multiverse Flashpoint, written and drawn by Brian Hitch, and this one is really good as well. Basically, what if Barry died and Eobard, or Reverse Flash, felt like, I can do whatever the hell I want. And he does. The big surprise, Wonder Woman War of the Gods. I did not expect this at all. And didn't expect it even less. It was done by Vida Ayala. But this was very good, if you know the event. And if you do, it basically is taking the War of the Gods, but then bringing elements from the Witching Hour and putting it into place. Really love this one. You got Crisis on Infinite Earth, which less deals with Crisis more so than the Fallout, which was the last days of the Justice Society. Basically, what if Earth 2 became the primer of the Earth, you know, for the main stasis. But what I really like, though, is that Steve Orlando does not go with the, oh, let's try and make sure that Superman from Infinite Crisis was right. No. Infinite Crisis, they don't even make any, not even any cute winks or nods or anything. You know, based on like, oh, if Earth 2 was it, it'd be better. No, it actually would have been worse. And they, like I said, they don't even hint off to it. And last but not least for those was Dark Knight's Metal got its own one. Basically, what if Barbados had corrupted the armor they had worn at the end and basically took them all out and corrupted the heroes, the Trinity. Basically, then you would have had Duke Thomas and a bunch of surviving heroes working together to deal with the, and overthrow them all. Overall, those plus what was done last year, I just love. I really love it. Speaking of which, oh God. And Death Metal has been really good. And it's one of those few cases where even the tie-ins have some importance to them that you wouldn't think. You think like, oh, it's... And the only one I would say is superfluous was the Multiverse Who Laughed. This one was, that was the only one that was truly superfluous. But almost all of these other ones, each contribute something. Last Story just gives off a nice send-off. The same with Last 52. You have Secret Origins, which gives us a wrap-up to Superboy Prime. Check out Nerdette's video for that, by the way. Infinite Hour Extreme, which was basically a Lobo thing, but it ties in with what's going on. Rise of the New Gods. So many of these are... They're not... The only one that I would say is actually vital is Trinity Crisis, which is basically Death Metal 3.5, because it does breach into 4. But other than that, though, I'd say this has been one of the better events overall. It kind of got a little lukewarm, but it's starting to build up. I've been loving every bit of it. Now this one's a kind of like... Sorry. This one gets its own separate category. Detective Comics number 1027. Yeah. After this one here, which you think this would have been the big one, yeah, that's not even close. They decided, well, yeah, it's the 7th issue, but we should celebrate the actual anniversary. But I gotta say, for $9.99, you get a lot for your buck. As you know, you get just so many really good stories. Main one by Peter Tomasi, whose run on Detective Comics is sadly coming to an end. The fact though that he actually was the main focal points of both of these, I do enjoy. And again, these were just a bunch of really good stories. This and the next ones on my list are ones that kind of set the standard for what's coming up with the DC Universe, with their production and how they're going to handle books and publishing with anthologies. Yep, because I'm going to bring up the 80th anniversary books. These have been so good as well. A lot of mostly good stories for Robin, Catwoman, Joker, and Green Lantern. All of these are just really well done, really well told. So many creative teams, some of which was their last work, like Denny O'Neil at least got some stuff to do before he passed on. In fact, did he? Yeah, he even got a Green Lantern story out before he passed away. That's pretty dang awesome. And yeah, just so much here that's really good. And yeah, I just cannot recommend any of these enough. And if there's going to be more of a standard for 80-page giants like this, or 100-page giants and all that, and they're all going to be $9.99, I would fork that money over so long as they were of these qualities. Next is a specific story and that would be Joker War. I would say this, it's not the greatest story that there was ever been told in Batman. In fact, it started off clever, but then it kind of went into the cliched, oh, Batman's on his own, so he needs to bring everyone in to help. But everything around it, especially the notion that we're finally having Joker finally utilizing his knowledge of what he knows about Batman, that he knows who he is and everyone else is, to his advantage, and good God, has he used it effectively. You also introduced the Punchline, who I am loving Punchline so much. And Clown Hunter, very good characters. You know, and this was basically a big highlight of James Tynion's repairing of Batman after what Tom King did. Especially issue 100. Really good. Really, really good. Especially when you have Joker in his own Batman armor. That was... It's like about time we see him in his own suit. Next is another story arc that literally just wrapped up. Endless Winter. Just a nice, fun story that's basically, you know, the heroes dealing with this all-powerful ice, power being, and basically, it's actually setting up stuff for post-future state. Especially when it comes to Black Adam, Hippolyta, the Teen Titans, and all that, and Swamp Thing as well. I really love this, and in fact, it's all one consistent creative team of Andy Lanning and Ron Mars, with enough consistent, artwork styles and everything, a nice beginning, middle, and end. I cannot recommend that one enough either. Now this one's also technically a line, and you have Deceased. Now the original mini, that came out beforehand, but then you also have Deceased Unkillable. This 3-issue story that's an interlude between the original mini and Dead Planet. You also have the I believe World's End digital series. I hope that gets a physical release eventually, which also bridged the gap very well. But what I really liked about, for example, this one is how you basically well, one, you set up a nice romance between Rose and Jason, which I'm like, well, those two crazy kids getting together. But yeah, you have basically like so many of these characters that are pretty much unkillable. Sadly, most of them die, but sorry. But then of course you have Dead Planet, which for the most part has been alright, but Tom Taylor's kind of got too much going on, and by the end of it, it's become more of a Constantine story. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I love me some Constantine, but it should be about everyone else. And Constantine kind of feels like, wait, I know you had him important in that Good Day to Die one shot and everything, but really? Next is one that ended this year, Jeff Johns' Shazam run. Yeah, it took forever, but it finally ended the Monsterland story. Very well done, although kind of bums me out that we didn't get much more of Dale Eaglesman's work because he was going a little slow and all that, but a lot of Scott Collins artwork, and you got the return of Superboy Prime. Plus, you had 2 issues by Jeff Loveless and Brandon Peterson, issues 12 and 15. They were originally going to take over the title, but nothing came from that. But overall, this was a nice continuation of Jeff's work with Shazam, and it sets up a lot of potential they could probably use in the movie. Kind of hope they do. Next is just the first issue so far, Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. This surprised me. I mean, first of all, look how big it is, and second, it's basically, it's supposed to be the Ninja Turtles, but Dark Knight Return style. Basically, this was done in the earlier points of Eastman and Laird's work, but they never really got started. They got it only partway started before they got busy with other things, but it's finally being made. And, okay, spoiler alert, The Last Ronin, it's Michelangelo. You can kind of predict it, but at the same time, you wouldn't. You'd think it would be in a rap or something, but apparently all the other turtles are dead. Mikey's the only one left, and he is trying to deal with this with New York that's basically become a police state. Really well done, really good. Now this was a series of series, but one that wrapped up was Batman the Max Arkham Dream by Sam Keith. That took him forever because we just had 3 issues for a while and it took forever for these last 2 to come out, but it's been a bit of a trip, I will admit. But at the same time, though, it's Sam Keith's artwork and all that. It's really good, really interesting. Doesn't make a lick of sense, but it does kind of put the Max in a new place for him going forward. Yeah, it is a continuation of the Max more than anything, and it kind of sets the going for if Sam Keith ever wants to return to the character, which I hope he does. And Batman is handled very well too. Then you also have Power Rangers Ninja Turtles. This impressed me, especially when you have the different turtles become rangers at some point, and you even have the Shredder taking on the Green Ranger power. I mean, wow, what more can you say, right? You even have the turtles dealing and a giant shellhead metalhead fusing together into their own Megazord, and it's what you would want from a crossover between them. That's not the in space crossover. Good God, let's not talk about that. Then you have another one that was a surprisingly good one, Terminator and Transformers: The Terminator. What makes this a nice one, the big twist is, it's the basically the Terminators have been at war with the Decepticons or the Cybertronians, and they're losing. So they send a Terminator back in time, and who ends up? Did he meet up with? Sarah Connor. Yeah, it's basically an inversion of everything, and it's so well done. But I also like it that you think the Terminator is learning to be good, but then you find out, nope, he's still following his program, which was to take out Cybertronians, Autobots or otherwise. But by the end of it all, it sets up an interesting possibility going forward. Especially where Megatron's defeated, but is he really? And what happens if Skynet has his hands on a Cybertronian body? Yikes. Then you have one that's always been toyed with for a long time, and finally actually got made. Transformers My Little Pony: Friendship in Disguise. This ends up being a nice little, you have Queen Chrysalis and the actually bringing forth the Transformers. She was asking for beings that could change. And I'll just say this, it's worth it for one joke alone in the first issue, and that was Twilight Bay said, like, "You're very welcome, but where did you come from? I've read all the histories, but there's no record of anything like you." To which Bumblebee says, "Well, we're from the planet Cybertron, but we're happy to blend in to avoid scaring anyone." Transforms into a car. Does this help? Oh, wow, not really. Yeah, because he thinks like, does this help? And you're like, what the heck's that? It's worth it for that, but it's so well done. Most of it's like little meetups with the different characters. Like, also one of my favorites, Rarity working with RC, who's a badass as usual. And, you know, you just have so many others. A Rainbow Dash with Windblade as they go for a race. You know, you have just so much going on today. All of them team up together to take out Chrysalis and Megatron. And again, it's fun. It's just dumb fun. And lastly, this one just started, Transformers Back to the Future. Much like Transformers Terminator, this is a case where they exist, but they interfere. In this case, one of the Decepticons finds out about Doc Brown's time machine and is able to use it to manipulate events so that they take over. And Doc and Marty have to try and deal with it all. It's insane. But now we're down to 2 more. The next one is a whole line, and that's the Black Label books. This has been the year for Black Label. I mean, starting out, well, before it was officially Black Label, was Batman White Knight. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. But like I was saying, you would eventually get Curse of the White Knight, which was still last year. But then this year, we would get the follow-up, which would be Harley Quinn Batman White Knight presents Harley Quinn. Set after the Curse of the White Knight, we're busy seeing Harley trying to be a single mom and trying to help dealing with this case that somehow has connections to her. The artwork is very good, even if it's not by Sean Murphy. It's a nice little, like a guy who kind of captures his style, but not aping it at the same time. It's making it its own. It's so good. Well, as far as other black labels, you of course have Last Night on Earth and Dark Knight Returns, The Golden Child, but those were from last year. Oh, then you would have Strange Adventures, which has been Tom King's recent book, and it's all right. It's all right for what it is. I mean, you're up to 7 issues so far, and yeah, I personally find it's an interesting mystery that we're getting told. Not sure where it's going, but I got a few ideas. Another one that came out this year was The Birds of Prey, which was supposed to be a new ongoing with The Birds of Prey that would have been written by Brian Azzarello, but it got canceled and then got put into this one-shot. But this one-shot's really good on its own. Kind of also feels like one of those cases where what the movie could have been. You have Three Jokers, one of my favorite books this year. I love this. It's Jeff Johns, of course I loved it, but just some of the stuff it's set up for Joker and what it did with Jason and everything, I really enjoy. Then you have Rorschach. This one's been okay. It still hasn't reached the stride that Strange Adventure had, but I'm still curious on where Tom King is going with this, although we're only just 3 issues in anyway. Then you have Batman Black and White and Batman Catwoman, also Tom King as well. These ones, I'm also curious on where they're going. I mean, okay, the Black and White one's a bunch of vignettes, so that one, I'm just interested in what else is coming on the line. But Batman Catwoman, I've been wanting to see this for a while, and so I'm looking forward to where they go. Now, next would be, well, we've already had, now, Damn, Superman, Earth Year One, and Harleen were all last year, so we don't need to talk about those. But one that did come out last year, but has been continuing on, has been Joker, Harley, Criminal Sanity, and the Secret Files one-shot. These ones have been basically what if Harley Quinn was more in the real world and she was a criminal analyst trying to help take out the Joker. And yeah, it's been actually really interesting. We're down to 2 more issues left, but where 6 is left off is quite an interesting cliffhanger, I'll just say that. It's been a bit of a up and down with quality, but one that hasn't been, is, again, because it's Jeff, in this case because it's Jeff Lemire, Joker Killer Smile and Batman Smile Killer. Basically, we get a bit of insight into Joker from a guy who was a psychiatrist, trying to understand Joker, but then we find out that Joker got into his head and messed him up royally. Then a similar thing happens to Batman the Smile Killer, which was an interesting one-shot, but it raised more questions. That's like, what? But yeah, really enjoyed that one. The Question, also with Jeff Lemire, The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage, which was just been a very interesting mystery book, which is all about, Vic Sage is trying to figure out, like, wait, what's with all these deaths of me? That was similar to me. Then you have Wonder Woman Dead Earth. Not the greatest, to be honest, but and the artwork especially is wonky, but one thing we'll praise it, the story did not go where I was expecting. Turns out it was the Amazons responsible for the end of the world and partially Wonder Woman, and they don't sugarcoat it, sorry. And yeah, but although there is one disturbing point, Wonder Woman rips out Superman's spine, puts her lasso through it to use it as a weapon. Ugh. Now another one I've been adoring has been Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. Basically continuing off of Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti's run. Oh, I had him sign this, by the way. It has been well, one, taking advantage of the Black Label book, it's raunchy, but at the same time, though, it feels like this could have been the basis for the Birds of Prey movie, because you basically have all the characters well written, as they are basically Harley's trying to take all the Joker's, his nest egg, all the loot he's hoarded, and planning on using it, for himself or for herself, and then trying to get away with it. Then by the end of it all, we then find out how Harley can really mess with someone. Basically, there's one guy who she makes him think that he killed her and that she killed his family, only to make it clear, no, I'm not like that. Then you have Hellblazer, Rise and Fall, a very good book that's basically just a typical Constantine story with artwork by Derek Robertson, writing by Tom Taylor, who gets Constantine very well. Very interesting, very nice, basically him dealing with the devil, and I love it how there's a point where the devil messes with Constantine, making it seem like the two slept together, and then the devil's trying to say, Lucifer trying to say like, oh yes, I put this whole tragedy. I'm sorry, I couldn't go with it any further. And it reveals, oh, it's a lie. Then probably the only one I didn't care for, but I'm getting anyway just so I can actually be a completionist, The Other History of the DC Universe. Check out Nerdette's video on this one. I'm not going to say much more on it. But last, but certainly not least, is a bunch of the crowdfunded books that have come out this year. First things first, while Graveyard Shift came out first, you also have Graveyard Shift Volumes 2 and the supplemental. I can't wait for Volume 3 to be done. And you also have U.S. Assassin in Volumes 1 and 2. As well as Sea Dog and Codename Kill Switch as well. I've done reviews on all of them. I'm still going to get to this one eventually, but very well done, very good. Mark Poulton definitely has got a good handle on getting books out, but one that have done even better than that, and most of these books they either came out this year or I bought them this year, are, and you knew this was coming, the Mark Pellegrini and Timothy Lim books. You got the Walmart trilogy, you got all of the Black Ops trilogy, and you got the, so far, Common America duology. What can I say about these two? Great writing, great artwork, self-contained yet building on a universe and a narrative. I just love them. And then, probably, if I had to pick a best book for the whole year, it would still be Bigfoot Bill, or anything by Doug TenNapel. Doug just really gets it. One, you got over 100 pages of story, you got oversized books, hardcovers, you've got plenty of ancillary material, you got great artwork, great writing, a very compelling narrative going on. I'm still curious with what's going to happen. I mean, you've just got so much here. Then of course you also have coming out next year, you'll be having the second volume of Earthworm Jim. Seriously, and this was a gold standard for me for the whole year. It's still the Doug TenNapel books. Doug really just gets it. And is just a master of his craft. So, that's all my stuff I want to talk about comic-wise that I've been loving and adoring this year. Probably missed a whole lot, but I was trying to keep it to a good, decent number, and it's just still a long video. But yeah, I wish you guys a happy New Year. On New Year's Day, I'll do a video about what I'm looking forward to this year. And so yeah, tomorrow I'll be doing a video on that, but otherwise, that's it for this year. Maybe next year will be better. I don't know. Until then, catch you guys later.